This is how I stagger the fine tuners, so that after I lock those strings and those little tabs twist, they pull this string flat and this string sharp. Now, when I tighten this block, it twists slightly. The low E string is pulled sharp, the A string is pushed this way, so it actually goes flat a little bit. Same thing here. And I know you could kind of hold the block in place while you tighten it, I get that, but your average customer that's doing this, you're going to save him a lot of grief if you just show him this video so he knows when he goes to tighten it up, that little twist in the block will raise this string and lower this string, raise this string and lower this string. That's why the tuners were set where they were set. I've got those fine tuners in their middle position so they can be loosened or tightened. Before I do the final tuning, with the locking nut unlocked, I'm going to give it 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. This one I'm going to turn in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3. This one, 1, 2, 3. This one, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to tune the guitar and lock the nut. And now you can see where we're at. A little bit of room to move that back. A string. A little bit of room to move that up. D string. This is where our fine tuners ended up. Now in this case it looks like that D is a little bit high, but there is adjustment both ways for each string all the way across. So that final check and playing position is done. The customer will no longer need to touch anything but the fine tuners. Well, we have another neck surgery kit going out to Robin Moyes in Australia. It's funny how the one that went out last week went to Iceland, so we're talking polar opposite ends of the globe. 15,000 kilometers apart. We make these in small quantities. There's a team of local machinists that put these together for us, and we continue to ship worldwide. They're made in very small quantities. We usually do runs of about 12, would be a big run. And there's still a half a dozen of these things left if anybody's looking to surprise one of their guitar tech buddies for Christmas. I found it amazing that the fella in Reykjavik, Iceland, the unit was delivered to him 2 days after I shipped. It just happened to go into the slipstream at the right time. Robin, your unit is on the way. By the time you see this video, you'll probably have it. Cheers. going to start at this end. This saddle itself was changed. These two threaded retainer fasteners for this saddle and this saddle were changed because the original ones, the heads were stripped and you couldn't tighten them enough to immobilize the saddle under string load. So the reason that A-string saddle was changed because it was the wrong saddle and it was sitting way too low. So it kind of threw off the action for the whole guitar. And fortunately, I always keep a stock of these replacement saddles exactly for that purpose. I've got this piece of hockey puck that I use. I push down on the bar, slip the hockey puck in there. That way that ledge doesn't get marred because it looks like it's been marred by previous attempts at setup on this guitar. So we'll take that out and flip the guitar over. I did add an extra spring. It just helped to stabilize it a little bit better. Let's go up to the locking nut. Let me show you what I did there. So we'll start on this side of the nut. When I string these guitars with the splayed strings like that, first of all, you can see I've got the ball end up against the post. A couple of reasons for that. When you clip the string off at the other end, to feed it into the retainer block in the Floyd Rose system, you want the natural diameter of the string. The return wind is on this end, and the ball end is on this end. You can see for the first and second string, it comes off this side of the post. For the other four strings, it comes off the opposite side here. The reason I do that is so we get a better grip with the locking tabs. And this, of course, is the strip of brass that's just ahead of the string bed, and it has been intonated for 9 to 42 strings of concert pitch. And that's how we're getting that very precise intonation and calibration that you saw a second ago on the tuner. Now that we've got those values where we want them, I just went over it with some 800 grit. This is some emery cloth. And to shine that up for the last time, you'll see a link below to see a couple more guitars that I calibrated like this with a locking nut, a Joe Satriani and I don't know, another Ibanez one. You can follow the links and have a look for yourself, or better, have a listen for yourself. And that will do it. For anyone who's worked on maple fingerboards, you know what I'm saying when you spend more time or as much time masking as you do actually doing the work. This has already been leveled and recrowned and polished, so I just finished with the auger file getting those sharp edges, and I'm just doing the final buff and we're into the house to check this thing out. Now this is an automotive compound. So that's Meguiar's. You pick that up at Canadian Tire locally here. And that is going to give us the final buff on the frets and the fingerboard. It's an ultralight liquid compound, so it's not going to cut through the finish. Clean it up, buff it up. And now we're ready to put on the final set of strings. These top 2 frets, actually 3rd and 4th, got a hit too. They were leveled off, and that's what allowed us, after adjusting the truss rod, to bring the strings down that close. Time to bring this in, plug it into the studio, and let's check it out. So these are the 2 layers that I recorded. That's the first layer. This is the second layer. So let those both play, and then I'll blow over top.